How are you doing?
So how you doing?
I'm doing great. So everybody came out to see you here at A&T, which was really good. Your first single that came out, Beamer, Benz, or Bentley.
Yeah.
Did you expect like the big outcome? Because you had people making a remix, Nissan, Honda, Chevy. Like, did you like think that it was gonna be that big or?
Yeah, well, at that time I was working independent, out my home, and I didn't really know what to expect, but I put out enough material underground up until that point, so I felt like it was only going to go up from there. But I was prepared to put out 2 or 3 more Beamer, Benz, and Bentleys, just because I was taught not to dwell on the record, not to like over cherish it. So, about 3-4 days later, I had got the call that it was added to radio out east, and I went away on tour, the exact next day after I released the record, so I wasn't even able to be home to see how big it actually was. So my head couldn't really get big because I was, thousands of miles away. It wasn't until about a month and a half when I got home that I realized what the record had done and how it's grown, organically, and everybody was just doing their own rendition of it, and it was flattering, and at the same time, it just felt like I was on my way. It's one thing to be respected by the people who buy the albums, and it's another thing to be respected by your peer at the same time.
Okay, good. So with your second single that's out right now, Any Girl with Lloyd, how did you two come together? Because when I first heard it, I was like, Lloyd Banks and Lloyd, okay, so.
Well, simple phone call, just reached out to him, and he was independent at that point too, so, and that record had leaked out with me singing the chorus, so it was a situation where I needed to get it done ASAP, and I know his work ethic. He's been a part of huge records. He has a track list that goes on and on. So, he flew out to New York. Took him about 15 to 20 minutes. He knocked his part out, and we kicked it. I thought it would be a little, but it wasn't. I honestly didn't even remember anything, from the past. And he came to Murder Inc. towards the end of the run. So he wasn't there in the very beginning where he would have caught the insults, just because that's the zone we were in. I actually had a chance to apologize to Ashanti too for some of the things that I said at that time, but it just goes to show you how things change.
Right, that's what's up. So, being that that has changed like that part of your life or whatever, with this second album, Hunger for More 2, how is it different from the first album? Because I had the first album and I loved it. Warrior was Morning Song, Get Hyped too. So, how is this one different from your first album?
The biggest difference would be the time. My first album came out in 2004. So it's 6 years since my first album. And I think growth overall, me working in the studio every day, I built a studio in my home, so I had a slight advantage to just be able to write music and record it immediately. I think they're going to see a change, because I've changed as a person also, I'm just getting older and maturing, so that affects your music, and me practicing for the most part is what gets you there. It's like, Michael Jordan didn't hit all those free throws because he just was nice like that. Some people are born with a talent, but it's up to you to make it strong. And with that in mind, I just went in there saying, you know what? I used to stare at my plaque. I stare at the first album, and then I know what I'm up against. And then I went out. I got some of the key pieces that I had on the first one, but then I went and got Ryan Leslie. I went and got Kanye West and Fabulous, people that I would have wanted on my first album, but didn't get the opportunity to. So I think that they're gonna see growth for complete new Lloyd Banks.
Okay, good. And I know we're pressed for time, so just last comment. At the meet and greet, you said where you want to be. So where would you like to be, as you continue to progress with your career, or like where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Or?
I see myself honestly. I see myself still in music. I don't know, if I'm functioning as a solo artist or maybe a producer or mentor. I'm not sure. I know I can't shake hip hop out of me that easily. I see myself successful because, it's one thing to win when everybody expects you to. It's another thing to win when you're like beating the odds. And I think that I had a chance to do both. And if I'm successful with my latest project, I know I'm going to want to go immediately into the zone of recording my next album. So hopefully 5 years from now, 3 or 4 more albums. I feel like I'm somebody that could put out an album at least once a year, so hopefully 4 or 5 albums.
Sweet. That's what's up. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nice meeting you and talking to you. Thank you.
All right.